Good morning, friends. Happy Thursday to all of you. There are several new deposit dates for the fourth stimulus checks that have been released. Direct rebate checks worth up to $325 are going to be arriving in many mailboxes this week, and millions of low-income households will be eligible to claim this available relief money. My friends, please make sure you watch until the end of this video for all of these new details. To say thank you for joining me here every day, I'm giving away 4 $75 Walmart gift cards every week. Please enter the giveaways by clicking and then liking several of my videos, and also commenting below the keyword of each video that you watch. Friends, the more videos that you watch and then leave a comment on, the greater your chances of winning these giveaways.
But last Tuesday, most Americans, and certainly most West Virginians, weren't in a celebratory mood. West Virginians started their day with news that inflation rose to 8.3% in August, while President Biden and his party and climate activists began setting up for their Inflation Reduction Act party at the White House. Meanwhile, that same day, the U.S. stock market had its worst day since June 2020 as the White House and his fellow Democrats celebrated their green spending bill that would only extend inflationary pain. But it does expand U.S. and IRS enforcement on Americans who are struggling to afford basic necessities. Days after the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office published an analysis that the Inflation Reduction Act would actually not reduce inflation, particularly in the short term, President Biden announces that he will do student debt cancellation that would add another $1 trillion to the deficit. Today and tomorrow, the Federal Reserve, which is our United States monetary watchdog, is meeting to set new interest rates in a bid to tame inflation. The body has had to raise interest rates aggressively by 3/4 of a point. In June, Chairman Powell, who's the chairman of the Fed, admitted that the rate increase is unusually large and would not be common. The Fed will likely raise interest rates again by the same amount tomorrow for the third consecutive time in a row. These are the most aggressive rate increases since the 1980s, when my mortgage was way into the teens, that Chairman Powell has plainly stated will bring, quote,
Here is some good news. Millions of Indiana taxpayers are set to receive up to $325 in tax rebates starting next week. According to Indiana State Auditor's Office, the checks will start printing this week, meaning that residents can expect their rebate checks very soon. The process has been delayed due to a paper shortage. The original $125 check can now be combined with the state's newest relief money, equating to $325. Married couples who file jointly can expect even more. One state official has said people will either receive $325 or $650 if they file jointly. By only mailing one check, we are actually able to save over $1 million because of the fees to print, postage, and processing. We have 1.7 million checks to print, and we are able to print out about 50,000 per day. That is roughly an estimate of 35 days of printing, which again gets us into October. To print and mail individual checks can take up to 48 hours. Indiana expects to print 1.7 million checks altogether. The rebate signed into law by Governor Eric Holcomb in early August aims to provide inflation relief for residents of Indiana. Many U.S. states continue to provide economic relief to their residents through stimulus or rebate checks. Illinois state government began sending out one-time individual income tax and property tax rebates under Governor J.B. Pritzker's Family Relief Plan. Millions of Illinois residents will receive rebates for either income and property taxes or both if they meet the certain criteria of the plan. According to the state of Illinois, a total of $1.2 billion will be released over the next 6 to 8 weeks to nearly 6 million taxpayers. Homeowners may receive an additional rebate equal to the property tax credit claimed on their 2021 tax form, up to a maximum of $300. According to Yahoo News, to be eligible for the property tax rebate, Illinois citizens must have paid state taxes last year and must have an adjusted gross income of under $250,000. The Family Relief Plan, which went into effect on July 1st, 2022, also established relief tax suspensions on groceries and gas. Governor Pritzker's Family Relief Plan, 1% sales tax on groceries, has been suspended until June 30th, 2023, and its proposed fuel tax increase has been delayed until the end of January 2023. Friends, the keyword for this video is Mount Logan. If you would like to enter today's Walmart gift card giveaway, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below this keyword, which is Mount Logan, and additional keywords of any video of mine that you watch. And do make sure, friends, that you are subscribed to my channel. The U.S. Federal Reserve raised interest rates by 0.75% for the third consecutive time, as the central bank continues to try to tame down multi-decade highs in inflation. 375 basis point rate hikes in a row is unprecedented since the Fed explicitly started targeting the federal funds rate to conduct monetary policy in the late 1980s. The rate hike brings the central bank's benchmark interest rate, the federal funds rate, to a new range of 3.0% to 3.25%. It is the highest level since 2008. From a current range between 2.25% and 2.5%. Stocks turned negative following the announcement before bouncing back as Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell read prepared remarks and then falling to new lows shortly after the press conference had ended. The Fed policy statement indicated a resilient economy with modest growth in spending and production, an upgrade from July when officials saw softening. Jerome Powell also recently told reporters, "We are focused on getting inflation back down to 2%. We cannot fail to do that." The Fed's latest interest rate hikes comes as inflation continues to surprise to the upside, and the Fed continues to see inflation elevated this year. Officials see inflation rising 5.4% overall this year and up 4.5%, but they expect inflation to drop to 2.8% or 3.1% on a core basis in 2023. Many officials projected 2.3% in 2024, followed by 2% in 2025. So friends, what do you think our government needs to do to get it down? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Well, my amazing and awesome friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for this morning. Thank you everyone for joining me here every day and when I post a video. I greatly appreciate all of you. Remember friends, I'll be announcing a winner in a video later today for the Walmart gift card giveaway. So please enter the keywords in the comment section below and do stay tuned for that video. Thank you and have a wonderful and blessed day.
Paying to households and businesses. We can't forget that the Democrats alone passed a bill last year that they called the American Rescue Plan, which rescued nothing and instead endangered our fragile economy coming out of COVID by hypercharging inflation. Democrats alone drafted and pushed forward their most recent bill, bypassing the normal committee process. And Democrats alone passed it, rejecting every Republican amendment along the way. In short, these policies continue to destabilize every single corner of our economy. Well, how do we know this? We see some of the statistics I talk about. Well, I know it because West Virginians have lived it, and I hear from them frequently about their legitimate concerns. A retiree from Clarksburg, West Virginia, wrote to me recently saying that she and her husband are struggling every month, despite having done their due diligence to save well for their retirement. She says they're trying not to dip into their 401ks or their TSP retirement accounts, but that it is getting harder and harder to not do that. As inflation drags on, the lifespan of retirement savings will continue shrinking for our seniors. in West Virginia, and those seniors account for 41% of our population. Another West Virginian wrote to me about the tough choices her family is making, and I quote, "The economy has crumbled in the blink of an eye. My husband and I have full-time jobs and 2 children. I'm tearful because I sit here looking at these upcoming bills and I'm having to decide to pay a bill or to buy groceries," end quote. A resident from Weston, West Virginia, told me that his insurance premiums recently increased. And when he asked the company why that happened, they told him point blank it was due to inflation. In the same letter, the constituent wrote to me, quote, "This crazy spending has got to stop." But it's not just West Virginians who are experiencing this inflationary problems. The National Defense Industrial Association, authored in part by former Deputy Defense Secretary David Norquist, released a white paper recently that indicated that inflation has cost the Department of Defense $50 billion and estimates that it will cost an additional $110 billion to our nation's defenses from fiscal year 2021 through fiscal year 2023. Think about this in the face of what we're talking about in terms of trying to help Ukraine overcome this terrible invasion by the Russians. Residential real estate has skyrocketed 43% in the past 2 years. In fact, this year, mortgage rates have risen from 3.2% to 6.3%, which is the highest they've been since 2008. Setting all kinds of records here, Mr. President. So some are going so far as to predict an additional 17.8% rise in home prices over the next year. A recent paper released